Can AI be fair? Alright, let's dive right into a huge question. One that's quietly shaping your world in ways you might not even realize. Can AI actually be fair? But before we can even answer that, let's start a little closer to home. What does your phone actually know about you? See, every single time you use it, you're leaving a little something behind, a trail. Every swipe, every click, every video you pause. It's like a tiny digital breadcrumb that marks exactly where you've been. And here's the thing about those breadcrumbs. They don't just disappear. They're being gathered up, piece by piece, to build a story all about you. I mean, just think about your day so far. You click on that link your friends sent. You're swiping through some vacation photos. Maybe watch a couple of funny videos to zone out. It all seems so harmless, right? But every single one of those actions is a signal. Another little piece of that story you're broadcasting. Okay, so what? All this data is being collected. Why does it matter? Well, it matters a lot, because we're not just talking about some techie stuff here. This gets into some really big questions. Questions about our privacy and what fair even means anymore. Now look, there's a good side to this. Sure, all that data, it helps apps and services learn what you're into. It's why your music app can drop a new band in your lap that you instantly love. Or how about your streaming service just knows what you want to watch? It's pretty cool, right? That's personalization. But, and this is a big but, that convenience has a price. Should an app really be able to track every single place you go? Does it need to know every video you've ever watched? This is where it gets tricky. And we have to ask, who's drawing the line here? So how does all this magic actually happen? How does an app learn anything? The answer is something called an algorithm. Now, I know that word sounds super technical and complicated, but stick with me, it's actually way simpler than you think. Honestly, just think of it like a recipe. Yeah, a recipe. At its heart, that's all an algorithm is. It's just a set of steps. A recipe tells you, okay, add flour, then sugar, then mix to get a cake. An algorithm does the same thing for a computer. It says, take this data, apply this rule to get an answer. The whole process is pretty simple when you think about it like cooking. First, you gather your data. Those are your ingredients. Then you apply the rules. That's the recipe itself, the instructions. And finally, you get an outcome, the finished dish. And that dish could be a song recommendation, or it could be something much more serious, like whether or not you get a loan. Okay, but here's where it can all go wrong. What happens if your recipe is just bad? What if all the ingredients are spoiled from the start? Well, that's how you get a recipe for bias, and it's one of the biggest problems we're facing with AI today. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. If the ingredients, the data you feed into the system, are already biased or incomplete, then the final result is going to be unfair. It has to be. You can't bake a delicious cake with rotten eggs, right? Same exact idea here. And there's a name for this, algorithm bias. Here's a perfect example. Let's say a company uses an AI to screen resumes. They train it on their last 20 years of hiring data. But what if, for those 20 years, they mostly hired men for engineering jobs? The AI is going to learn that pattern and start automatically favoring male candidates, even if a female candidate is way more qualified. The AI isn't trying to be biased, it's just splitting back the bias it was fed. So the difference is night and day. A fair recipe with good, complete data gets you a fair outcome. A biased recipe with skewed data gets you an unfair outcome. It's like that classic saying, garbage in, garbage out. Which brings us to the biggest question of all, really. Now that we know how this bias creeps into the system, who gets to decide what's fair? Because, think about it, every single day, these algorithms are making more and more choices for us. They're deciding what news pops up on your feed, whether your resume even gets seen by a human who you might date. These are literally shaping our reality. So as we hand over more and more of these critical decisions, we are forced to face that ultimate question. Who decides what's fair? Who is responsible when it goes wrong? Is it the person who wrote the code, the company that deployed it, the government, or is it all of us? That's the conversation we need to be having, and we need to have it now.